Our feedback, and we are ready to kick it off going on from this point. Luckily, we haven't missed out on too much. Only the ban phase that has come through, but of course, once we get our overlay popped on, yeah, that'll be represented over the top, and you'll be able to take a glance at those. We'll also have a bit of a chat about that as well, Tim, because obviously we have just seen the announcement that's gone out from Siege Global, whereas Echo is now banned from competitive play, until he has been fixed, of course, due to the resounding bug with the Yokai drone.
Yeah, I think it's the right decision. We've seen, we saw it previously, and we've had a lot of Echo bans. It has been sort of shaping that operator banning phase, so not too much of a surprise. At the end of the day, if it's not right at the minute, then let's get rid of it and let's just focus, on getting the best games that we can. So that's exactly what we are going to see today. Now, I can tell you, I haven't seen the site yet, but it will be dorms. I think I've just peeped a little silhouette of a bomb through the wall there. We are up on the top floor of Oregon. So what are we going to see from Team Liquid on the attack? What we're going to see is a lot of attention paid towards Attic, generally speaking, and then we will see a little bit of a pinch developed from the master bedroom side. So you try and get in through that closet wall into the games room that we were just looking at there a second ago. Try and get these defenders in a pinch, get them spinning on the heels, get them looking in multiple directions, and then start to pick the kills up and think about Sexy Cake getting in and getting that diffuser down. Now, you heard me right there. Not PSK anymore, Jackie. Sexy Cake is taking full responsibility for that diffuser, and it worked out well last time around.
It did indeed. Sexy, he's definitely fell into that role with relative ease. It worked quite nicely for him. He's been able to pick up the pieces, and for PSK, he has been making pieces out of the opponents he's seen. Really been hitting his shots. It feels like a resurgence for him, and it has been good to see. Now, that's not to say that we won't see frags from Sexy Cake. As you can see already in this round, he's starting to kick things up. Running amok with the entry frag onto VNX and putting the Wamine to an early grave. They continue on as well. Nesk, he heard you were talking smack, Tim, and he wants to smack up some faces to try and redeem himself, going out gunning as he shuts down another man, and it puts us into this position. A 4 versus 2, Int outnumbered 2-1 here, in some really unfavourable angles. Unless Drunks does something miraculous, it feels like this is about to fall to pieces.
And it will do. Drunks does start to do something miraculous. He gets 2 for himself with the Alden-esque, and Sexy Cake going down, but Moringa putting the diffuser down on the ground. It's Duds 1 versus 2. Can he get the first? Absolutely not. Drops out of ADS at a terrible time for himself there. Shut down just outside of games room. Ultimately, it is PSK who will put him in the dirt and secure round number 1 for Team Liquid. Good starting attack from them. We saw exactly what I was discussing, that pressure coming in from both sides, clearing Attic out, moving in, and also getting themselves into game room. It becomes very, very difficult for the defenders at that point. You find yourself pinned back all the way against the double window and right back into kids' dorms, and it is a hard place to fight your way back out from. So Team Liquid coming in with a very solid start. Now, it's worth mentioning with those bans, the operator bans, as you know, obviously we've had them called out now, but we didn't really get much of a chance to discuss them. Now, Interestingly, Monty and Clash coming in again from Team Liquid, Jackie, and that is something they have been doing consistently, especially in the last play day as well. They are not playing against Shields at the minute.
No, they're not indeed. Obviously, it's a bit of a double-edged sword in the sense that Sexy Cake, he's very proficient when he's on either of those 2 operators. There's so much that he brings to the table in the sense of some of his rush plays on the Monty. He can be very quick, very decisive, and effectively just act as a massive body shield to blockade the bullets that will be raining down towards Team Liquid. On the Clash, he can do so much at wasting time. We've seen him in 1vx's, even 1v2s, where he somehow pulled it out of the bag by just being a shocking nuisance maker and really just taking the mickey out of the team that comes in to try and shut it down. Unfortunately, obviously, none of that will be in play this time around, and as we said as well, Echo, he's not in the rotation. He is going to be completely out until the issues alongside that op has been resolved, so that's why you won't be seeing any of him throughout today's play days. But the playdate is at hand. And of course, the first round went the way of Liquid. It was a bit of a lockdown there in the opening round. There was a chance for Drunks. He did have to do something barbaric, and he nearly did, Tim. He started fighting back, right? Clean 2K. I liked his aggression on towards the player getting the diffuser down, but it's just not enough. He couldn't clutch the unclutchable in a position like that. Let's see if Liquid can get themselves a second round once again here, as they've already started to gain control towards the top floor, of course, sending Palu out, that massive sledgehammer, rip up the floorboards, and and give yourself vertical angles to try and get an early verti frag.
It's that Alder, Jackie. That's why Drunks nearly did it. It's an absolute mischief maker. It's the sort of, you know, it is the can I see the manager of the Siege world, I think, is the Alder.
The Karen of the gun world.
It really is that gun that you bring out when you think, right, there's complaints to be handled here, and I'm about to dish out some answers, and that's exactly what Drunks tried to do, but unable to. Now, we can see INTZ came in here with quite an aggressive defence. They had 3 roamers up on the top floor, but on the mid floor, but they've dropped them away a little bit. They've actually been forced back to site reasonably quickly by Team Liquid, and they're now able to start opening those hatches and just making it difficult for INTZ down on the site halfway through the round, and that's not terrible progress for Team Liquid. It depends ultimately where their intention is to push from, but right now there's a lot of pressure being applied through construction into bunker and also from that hatch in the meeting area, just down into electrical, trying to create a bit of havoc around pillars and rear stage and try and get that breathing space for the bunker push to come in. But right now, INTZ, they are holding quite resolutely here.
A tenacious defense, you're absolutely right. They're not pushing up, they're not getting overly aggressive. No risky plays. Ooh, okay. I mean, that was quite risky. The wide swing coming around, it looked like they were really fully committing to attempt to get an early frag here to defend the entryway. Shield going to go down. Duds, will he be mirroring that? Will he be broken like a shield as his face is going to get ripped off by the Ash charging in? Ness picking up a 2K, but Alaral replies in kind with Big Papa Pump, turning the corner with the shotty and shutting down 1 man. It's a 2 versus 3 into the round. We have about 25 seconds left here, and VNX, the Nitro going out. Ooh. That could be a decisive play as it bombards onto PSK and leaves it all down in a 1v2. Moringa, he gets the trade, switches to the skeleton key, but will he be able to turn the tide of the round? He's out, shotgun, Big Papa Pump, the skeleton key's done it, Tim.
Shotgun versus shotgun, and ultimately Buck reigns supreme, and that is somewhat unusual. The skeleton key certainly lower on damage than Big Papa Pump in that situation, but whew, that was a close round with a lot of back and forth. How about that Nitro onto PSK? And let's not forget, nice. last play day out, Jackie, we had the double, you know, the double Nitro from PSK down in Clubhouse. He just launched it over the shield to actually win the map for Team Liquid. It really did close that one out. It was looking bad as well. I think it was 3 versus 5 at the time. PSK, he just absolutely dumps a 3-pointer in from the halfway line and just bang, double kill. But today, he finds himself on the receiving end of that. Absolutely dunked on by that Nitro.
Really nice. Really, really nice play. All of it was quite tasty. That was a round that I wasn't quite ready for, to get so hectic at that point. We're easing in, Tim. First game of the day.
No
We've
such
gone 0
thing.
to 60 real quick. Straight the big MPH.
No such thing in LATAM, Jackie. There is no such thing as easing into these games. And we're heading into round 3 now, and Team Liquid, they are not letting INTZ rest for 1 second here. And all I can keep thinking about, Jackie, all in the back of my mind is there's Consulate next. There is Consulate next, and Team Liquid are looking like this. Nesk, he's come out. He's basically sending me a direct message, isn't he? That's like, right, I've heard you, Ace. I might have had a quiet day. I can't deny that, but that ain't going to happen again. And this is what I said. You know, ultimately, that's the point I was making. It certainly wasn't a question of Ness' performance overall, more a comment on, you know, what we'd actually seen and the fact that it's unusual. And right now, it's just showing why Liquid is such a strong team. It's, as we said, Nesk has a quiet day. Palu steps up. Palu, he's not been, you know, red hot so far, but Nesk just steps up and takes the kills. You know, if Nesk's going to come out like he has, it's difficult for anybody else to find the kills.
Right now, in terms of the stats as well, looking back over, right, 4 frags to 2 deaths, that's pretty damn good, because we're seeing the entry frags come out. He's being able to trade off the back of that. He's staying alive into the late round as well. Unfortunate in the manner which he got blown away into the previous one, but other than that, he really has been performing quite well coming into this opening map. The entire team of Team Liquid, though, leaving it down to the wire. The fact it was a 1v1 with a clutch from Moringa off the back of the skeleton key, the difference that a split second could make with a reaction there, well, that very well could have been a 1-round split for INTZ. We'll see if they can bite back, if they do have some steam left going into the third now, or if Liquid will be able to win the half already. And keep in mind as well, these rounds have been quite fast. Like, the game hasn't actually been live that long. Round 1 was pretty speedy. The second didn't feel like it was actually anywhere near as long as it was. This is seeming to be quite a high-octane game, Tim.
Well, it's whipping by at the minute. This is top down on the highway, Jackie. Just, I was going to say hair whipping around, but obviously that's not the case for me, as we all know.
Roof's off, ear hair blowing slightly.
Maybe getting a rustle, a push. We can see Team Liquid, they are mounting a very similar attack to the one that they used in round one, and that is to push in through Attic, gain some control, and then apply pressure through this area right in front of us. The Master Closet getting themselves into game room. So at the minute, they are just going about clearing out any utility that they might need to. Now, Drunks, he needs to be very careful there. He does dip himself away, just gets himself out of dodge because he knows that those Excaros pellets are about to open that wall any second now. And we will see and hear that happen. So that is yet another line of sight opened up for the attackers. But let's remember, they do work both ways. But with the way Team Liquid are shaping up today, INTZ are going to be having to be very careful about swinging onto those exposed angles.
All right. Timing-wise, it's starting to get relatively late into the round. Obviously, there isn't a lot left to play with, but there's definitely nades left to slay with. Over the top rope, Sexy Cake timing that and dropping it onto VNX. A perfectly cooked potato. Another one coming in. Surely not 2 kills off the back of the frags. Instead, it will force Duds out of position, allowing Palu to overwhelm him with a hailstorm of bullets. The peak from the shotty, but it isn't going to matter. As again, Moringa punishes another man. Alamau slain, and it is all on Vitz, the Goyo himself, charging up the stairs, looking to get into position, but his face will come round the corner, but it will be blown off, and it will go around on its own. Finished off by PSK with a lovely little tap.
I can't imagine how INTZ must be feeling right now, Jackie, because I am sweating sat at home watching this, let alone trying to play against this Team Liquid. They are absolutely electric right now. There is no two ways about it. They are running over INTZ. And if this carries on, we are in for a game of short order here, and it's not going to look any prettier on that second map. And right now, INTZ, they need to find themselves a way. They're going to be heading back down to Laundry. They certainly put up a good fight in round 2 on Laundry. They got themselves all the way down to that 1 versus 1, but I think it was Alemao just unable to close things out. He was left with every tool he needed, really. He was in a close quarters situation. He had the shotgun. And really, I think he'll be thinking that he should have won that one. He should have won that head-to-head. But ultimately, it was Moringa on the book, able to close things out for Team Liquid and just pile more pressure onto this defending side of INTZ. And they're going to be feeling right now like, you know, what can they do? They've got frags on the board. They've managed to whittle away the man count of Team Liquid in rounds, but just unable to finish them off.
It's one of those rounds that you kind of have to try and move away from as well. As much as it is going to plague you and it potentially could affect your mental a little bit where you're thinking about those 1v1s, if you don't get your foot in soon as well, the bigger the scoreline gets for Liquid, right? The more you're sat there stewing every round after you die, just frustrated in that play, thinking all the difference a 1 versus 1 could have made. But you got to forget about it. You got to move on. At this point, it is hindsight. There's nothing you can do to change that. The timeline we've got here, though, isn't looking great for INTZ. Already, Team Liquid. 3 rounds on the board. For my money, they've won the half, and I don't even think that's going to make them slow down. They'll push harder here, Tim, looking to get as much as they physically can off the back of this one. Cheeky angle in play, coming around VNX, going to fire off a few pot shots, trying to at least spook them and keep them back for a few more seconds, because they've really taken a bit of a fast step into the round here, Tim. We've only got 2 minutes and 19 seconds left, and look at the amount of map control Liquid has. They've forced back all of the early game roam from INTZ. They're effectively grouped up on site, turtling up already.
I think INTZ have maybe been a little bit quick to retreat when they've been playing on this side. As I said, they were defending aggressively the last time we saw it back in round 2, and they had 3 roamers on the mid-floor, but just completely collapsed back to site within the first 30-40 seconds. And I think right now, Team Liquid are playing aggressively, and sometimes you just need to meet that with aggression. Get up in their faces. Don't let them get in the building. Don't let them establish themselves. And it's difficult because Team Liquid are sharp, and they are really hitting their shots so far. So, yep, you've always got the chance that you are going to lose those early gunfights, but you can't play as if you are. You can't avoid them, Jackie. because they will find you one way or another. Team Liquid are coming looking for you, and the gunfights will come with them, and so you can't back away from them. You have to step up. You have to try and take them on head to head, and I think by doing that, it might just make Team Liquid take a step back, think about what they're doing, slow down a little bit, and that's where we've seen Team Liquid lose rounds quite often, has been on that time factor. We've commented on it before. Team Liquid NIP, something they've both suffered with, is delaying that final execute up to the last 10-15 seconds and ultimately faltering at that point. But at the minute, INTZ are just giving them all the time in the world to play with.
And then you're walking in to what is now, unfortunately, a 5 versus 4. With already a frag advantage with no damage sustained because of the unfortunate nature of it. You can have a field day with this, unless they do something drastic, and it seems like drastic has been the call that has been made. A peek coming out, one man being slain. Oh, that was the tap! It felt like it should have been the frag, but it's not gone his way, leaving it in a 2 versus 3. Oh, the SMG assault could have saved their bacon, but it's not looking likely. Comes down to this, Vitz in a 1v1, full HP versus the very low Palu, fully committing to get the diffuser down. He's got to stick it, and he will be able to get it off. There is no incoming aggression from Vitz. He'll try and reposition now. Palu, you have all of these odds stacked against you. The likelihood of him picking up this clutch is slim, the marginal. Vitz, you've just got to hit your shots with the AUG. Pre-fire comes around, but he'll be able to dodge it. A sneaking suspicion of his location, peers over the top, finds him over the kitchen counter, and hits the shot to take him down. Cleans up and saves them around. A round that looked very unlucky. Going into that 4 versus 5, Tim, without even really having a fair chance of a firefight, that's unfortunate. But they make the best of a bad situation, they pick it up, and now they call for a reho. Standard stuff, we'll get him back in, and we'll carry on with this one.
I mean, you can't rely on 1v1s. You know, we say this countless times. No. Coming back from a 4v5, I'm not going to criticise them for that. Ultimately, it was a good fight back from them. They got themselves into the round quickly. That opening frag is even more important if you've lost a man for some reason to a technical difficulty and you're coming in 4 versus 5. Absolutely, props to Alemo for coming in and taking control of that round. Opening kill onto Moringa, really squared things away, but then it really did come down to the wire. It was bouncing back and forward. Palu, at the end, just found himself on 2 low health, and I don't know if he could have maybe played that a little bit more passively. I don't know if they had any drones left on that they could have placed on the diffuser or anything that could have seen it just to give him that heads up as to whether the disable was coming in or not. I don't know, maybe drop himself back onto laundry stairs. It's a difficult one to call. At the end of the day, he had a few HP. He was doing the best with what he had, and I think Palu did a great job to get the diffuser down. But equally, it was very well finished off by Vitz. He didn't snatch at it. He didn't go dashing in. He was happy to play patiently and just took it on the retake. Very well played from him.
No, it is, right? It also boils down to this now. If you just want a round like that, where it's come to a 1v1, where you've lost one of your players in the early round, well, mid-round really, and had to get him back in, clutching at straws to get a 4 versus 5, they could have had 2 rounds here already, Tim. If they won the prior 1v1, right, they'd have been in a great position. And then you're sat there laughing, thinking, how are we winning these rounds? We've just won another round where we're now 4v5 through no fault of our own. Confidence starts to come back. Obviously, it's one of those, though, where you look at it and you go, okay, sustainability. How many times are they going to win one of these 1v1s? In a situation like that, Palu doesn't take as much damage. He has the confidence to play a little bit more aggressive. Maybe we see overconfidence from Vitz as well, right? If he pushed in, Palu still had like 10 seconds left. He could have come off, spotted the audio cue, gone for a peek, and killed him. Luckily, he played really smart and just thought, look, I'll play for the retake. I'll let him get the diffuser down. I'll come in, clean up, and get a disable. Smart play to make, and he clutched it. But how many times are they going to do that to him? Team Liquid are looking really strong already into this. The veto seems to favour him an awful lot. It seemed like the gods of Siege as well are almost favouring him, you know, giving him the 4 versus 5 coming into that. But they fight through adversity. They fight through an awkward scenario, and they do pick up an opening round. They need to get more, though. You can't really afford to give Liquid anything else this half.
No, absolutely not. And to be fair, I think, you know, this rehost could well have come at a reasonable time for INTZ. They've managed to secure the round. It wasn't ideal losing the guy, but if you can back that up and get that win, it's really just put a break in proceedings at this point. You've got Team Liquid now. Not only has their momentum been slowed down by the rehost, but they've also just had it ended by a loss coming into it. And maybe this is just the couple of minutes that INTZ need to square things away in their own mind and think, right, we need to come back from that strong. And they now come in, pick this round up, round 5, maybe 3-2. All of a sudden, you're in touching distance when it feels like you were literally just getting run over by a steam train. So I think it's not the end of the world for INTZ just yet. But as I said, I think they need to just play a little bit more aggressively with a little bit more confidence and get up into the faces of Liquid. Don't let them come in and just push you back to site and destroy those roam games so quickly, and get aggressive and do what they want to do. Because as we've seen, once you allow them to do that, that's exactly what players like Nesk and Palu are going to do. Sexy Cake's having a great day as well, 2 entries for him, and it's just all going in their favour at the minute.
It is. And luckily for anyone that favours watching some beautiful Siege, we're heading back in as the game has just gone live once again. A snappy remake that time around, which is ideal to keep the momentum for both of these two teams. But to your point, Tim, I completely agree with you, mate. I feel like from what we've seen coming out from INTZ right now, again, it's the classic tale of giving your opponent far too much respect and changing your game style around it, which it's not going to work. That's not the good adaptation to make. Obviously, don't go too far the other way with it and charging, going for these ridiculous plays, going for those jump outs, going for aggressive spawn peaks that you wouldn't normally go for. But stick to your guns. INTZ, we know they play that very explosive style of Siege. They like to get control of the game in the early round, whereas this time, both of us have kind of noticed, right? It's not really there. There was a few stabs in the dark. They effectively were just going for the buddy system. 2 players would try and hold one angle. As soon as they got contact, they'd back off. They were just playing for contact, so they had a bit of an idea of what Team Liquid were going to execute, where they were going to go in the late round. Don't do that. Stick to your standard style. If you feel like you've got the confidence to go for those early aggressive plays, which we've seen them do many times before, do it. Don't give too much respect from Team Liquid, because you're not going to get it back.
Absolutely not. And as you say, I'd agree. I don't think, going for the big jump outs or the spawn peaks, that's not going to help you, because a team like Team Liquid are going to be alive to that. They're going to be ready for that, especially with Nesk and Palu both hitting shots so far today. You're going to be asking for a bit of a hiding if you do that. But there is a balance to be found in between, I think, where they have been and that point. And that's the balance that they need to find. They need to get in there and hold their ground. There is absolutely no reason why they should back off for Team Liquid. They need to say, right, we're going to hold on to this mid floor, for example, for a laundry hold. We're going to hold on to mid floor, and we're going to hold on for it for the first 1.5 to 2 minutes. That's our aim. And they just need to go out with it in their mind that that's what they're going to execute, and be confident and think, no, this is not just your map to take. We're the defenders. This is our map. We're playing with our utility and our setup, and you are going to have to come and dislodge us. And if that is a roam, if that is aggressively out into the map, then stick to it and go for it. And confidence is massive in Siege. The aggressor often wins those gunfights, and that is what you will quickly find, that you come away on the positive side of those engagements.
Talking of confidence, a lot of confident chucking of concussions being done as they launch one after another, sapping up those ADSs, disabling all the magnets that would be able to defeat the oncoming, basically bucket load of grenades that has just been dumped out towards them. It'll deal with a lot of them, but there's still about 1 ADS remaining just on the lip there, it looked like, as we went off of the POV. They've gone for the full rotation around as well. So Team Liquid putting a ton of pressure in one location, trying to make them guess that that's where they're going to be coming from with a mass execute, then going for a bit more of a free-pronged attack towards the late round. Nesk sneaking his way in, starting to walk up towards the doorway as they wait for the call to be made to go for their bombardment onto the site. But will they be left bludgeoned? Most importantly, looking back over on Drunks, I feel like he's the one that could run amok here, potentially. Already spamming out, trying to deal with the Selma charges that are going up, doing a very effective job of slowing them down. They do counter it by dropping a smoke grenade, but you could still just spam. Ideally, he knows exactly where it is, especially off the back of the ping, Tim. He should be able to get rid of it.
Needs a bit of joy there, just needs a bit of lady luck on his side to clear it, but will not have it, and that allows Nest to get the tight angle all the way through to Dorms that he wanted, and that frees up Attic. There is more than one way to achieve your objective here in Siege, and that is exactly what Team Liquid have just shown us. They met some solid resistance coming directly through Attic, but they'll find a bit more solid resistance as Vitz will shut down Moringa with a big opener for INTZ there. 5 versus 4 and 35 seconds left on the clock. Is not in the favour of Team Liquid as a second is found. Drunks on the Alder shuts down Nesk, and right now this is all going in the favour of INTZ, and as I suggested it might happen, Jackie, this could be a bitter pill for Team Liquid to swallow. After the back of the rehost, come in and lose a round and find yourself then 3-2 on the scoreboard when you feel like you've come in so strong. They are still in touching distance. 12 seconds left to go. Team Liquid, 2 men left on the board. PSK and Palu get 1 for their troubles. They have yet got 4 kills to find. It's all going to come down to Palu. He can find 1. 1 versus 3. But with 0 seconds, diffuser out of hand, it is not going to be in round number 5. And that is going to be the second on the board for INTZ now, and all of a sudden they've just woken up, Jackie. They've just come into this game of Oregon.
And obviously look at it for what it is, right? You got to take into consideration here with the rounds they've already had. This could be a complete role reversal in the scoreline. This could be a 3-2 in favour of INTZ if they won a very, very tight 1v1 that went down to the difference between a big Papa Pump SAS shotty versus a skeleton key being rammed down his throat. All the difference that a couple of seconds reaction time can make. And we're seeing that reflected in the scoreline now. Because that defensive play was a lot better. They turtled up. They played that same similar style. But they executed it way better, Tim, in being able to get rid of utility. You think of how much they burnt through, how long they starved out Liquid. And even when they did go for their push, it was disjointed. It almost left them in positions where they couldn't effectively trade for one another. And also, Drunks did what he needed to do. He was taking down those Selma charges and then just laying down Hail Mary cover fire second after second and ripping his way through 2 pivotal picks there on the Team Liquid. Really quality round, good stuff from INTZ. And at this point, who's to say they can't tie it up? Why can't this game end 3-3 at the half, Tim, giving us a much more competitive game to Oregon?
Absolutely no reason at all if INTZ can keep showing us what they just did back there in round number 5. It was the hold on Attic for me that really held that round for them. They just, one way or another, found a way to keep hold of Attic. So initially, it was dealing with all that utility raining in. And then as we saw Team Liquid, they found a way around it. They got the Selma charges on the trophy wall, opened things up for Nest to have an angle through. And that did force the defenders out of there. But INTZ then hold nice long angles still into Attic, aware that Moringa was going to push through and then aggress towards Dorms. And that's when that defense really starts falling apart, because the crossfire is there to be able to get the diffuser down. But they shut the buck down as he pushed through Attic and once again held on to that territory and wouldn't let it go. So then what happened was effectively Team Liquid were left with a one-dimensional push, and they were able to cut them down as they tried to push in.
Right. Who's going to be doing the cutting into round 6 though? Will INTZ again be able to sever the heads of the Hydra that is Team Liquid, as they have 3 incredible powerhouse players that seem to be transitioning between one another right now with who is going to take the aggressive role into the round. For INTZ, Drunk's been doing an awful lot. Obviously, we had the clutch from Vitz as well. The vital signs are looking good for them so far into round 6. A little bit of drone play coming out, getting a bit of info here and there. Some of the positions we can see as well, especially looking over towards Alamo and the Maestro. Basically a one-done angle. If they force him out, they'll lose a lot of map control. They open up that rotation point into the site. It will start to get dicey. He needs to hold strong here for as long as physically possible. Ideally, get 2 frags off the back of it. The paranoia, knowing the drone's in the shower, but not wanting to step around, leave his back exposed and get a bullet in the back of the head. Because of it, he will hold for now. Liquid once again going for the late round execution. Nades coming in. They've been very precise with these in the past. This time it does a little bit of shrapnel damage and also gets rid of his shield, making it more risky for Alamal to wait around after he gets that first kill.
With 2 minutes off the clock, it is not a bad position for Alamau, though. He's going to use the lockers instead for his new cover. It's not quite as direct. It doesn't allow him to be as aggressive with that prior knowledge of what's in front of him, but still, he can hold on, but not when Power comes in and puts an opening kill onto him. Nesk with a headshot onto Drunks as well. Now leaves us 5 versus 3, and this defense is quickly tumbling like a house of cards. Jackie PSK comes in and gets the kill onto VNX. 5 versus 2 right now. Duds and Bits, they're in the kitchen, but they are going to be sweating because the heat is getting turned up by Team Liquid. This is out of the frying pan into the fire as Palu picks up a double onto Bits and Duds and finishes off a flawless round for Team Liquid. They are back with a bang. 4-2, they finish the half.
Lovely little round there, and definitely not a little performance from Palu into that one. The powerhouse himself, we spoke about how he is a bit of a big dog, and he has shown that his bark and his bite are on point. Talking of the bite, though, of the audience, Tim, it seems like they have really bit down on the fact they believe Team Liquid is going to win this one. 89% of the fan vote is in favour of the boys in blue. INTZ only getting 8%, Tim.
I mean, it's rough. It's, you know, I think INTZ are a better than an 8% team, but you've got to think about who they're coming up against, not just in terms of performance in the server, but Team Liquid have got a lot of fans, Jackie. There's a lot of love for these guys around the world, so they're always going to do well in them polls. Am I suggesting that means the poll is wrong? Absolutely not. I would be on the side of Team Liquid as well. I would be voting up there. INTZ, they've shown us a few flashes so far that they can make a game out of this. Moving on to the attack, though, it is not going to be easy now. Breaking down this Team Liquid defense, and this round for me is particularly pivotal. We saw this scoreline play out a couple of times last time, Jackie, and 4-2, it's always a bit of a tipping point. If Team Liquid hit 5 now and only need to find 2 more successful defences, it's difficult to see how that is not going to be achieved. They've still got dorms on the cards after they win on Laundry if they get this one, so that arguably you're going to expect to put them on to 6 and guarantee the draw. So can they find one more defensive round throughout the rest of the game without INTZ making a mistake? I'd have to suggest that they probably can. So INTZ right now, they need to come out strong. They need a great Laundry attack. Get aggressive, get up in Team Liquid's faces, get yourself the first couple of frags and really put their backs to the wall now.
In terms of the operator picks for this one, coming out strong as well. Drunks instantly going on the ace. We saw a couple of rounds from Team Liquid where it seemed almost as if they didn't fancy bringing him along. You know, they were sticking to their guns with the Maverick and the Habana. Ace across the board this season of BR6, and rightly so since he's come into competitive play. The pick rate for Ace has been through the roof. So much usability, very agile. That Selma device can be brought into pretty much every situation. You would have had one of the previous hard breaches in, and it does just as good a job, if not better. So Drunks adopting that immediately into this one. We'll see if that will benefit them over the course of the round. Moringa, he's so good at defending towards that stairway, Tim. The amount of times we've seen him with the shotty and the smoke cans just ruining anyone that tries to push down and leaving them speechless. But if you're not speechless, if you've got some thoughts and feelings about the course of the day at hand, especially this game that is going on right now, then tell us on Twitter, #BR6. Send in your tweets, and me and Tim will be reading them out throughout the course of the broadcast.
Oh, it's one of the best bits of the day, Jackie. I absolutely love looking forward and seeing what the viewers like to come up with for us on the old tweets. Just hearing from everybody, as we've said, you know, this is a community focused, and right now there's a lot of focus coming in through that bunker. And how about that for a tight angle from Duds? He's going to shut down Nesk with a wonderful headshot there. It's absolutely deleting the Jaeger of Team Liquid, and that's going to leave them 5 versus 4 and starts to open up a little bit of a path into bunker. But there is still a man there, still 2 men holding it down. There are deployable shields on either side, and I'm not too sure, Jackie, that this is the correct push for INTZ to be making here. With 2 minutes already gone, they have certainly applied a lot of resource to this bunker push, and it has to be successful. If not, they are in serious trouble. And we can see now that Team Liquid, they have decided to give it up, but they have given it up with only 45 seconds left on the clock. They've reinforced the rotation behind them, and that leaves it very difficult now for INTZ to make a move and get into sight. We can see the final defensive positions being taken up by Team Liquid. The lines are drawn. The battle is about to be fought. We will see who is going to win this war right now. INTZ, they need to get aggressive. They need to push in. The Selma device is opening up the wall from bunker, but with only 20 seconds left to go, kills need to be found. There is still still a man. Moringa out in the freezer. He could be a big problem on the flank of INTZ here. Right now, VNX is aware of it. Alemo, he's going to open things up for them with a kill onto Sexy Cake. And here we go. This is the bloodbath we've been waiting for. Moringa finds one onto Vits with the shotgun. Drunks is managing to get that diffuser down. There's nothing Moringa can do. VNX has got him held at bay here, and that is great positioning from INTZ to allow the diffuser to be successfully activated. VNX gets himself one on the long range to PSK. Palu starts to fight back, 2 versus 3, but the time is ticking away. Each second is vital for Team Liquid now as they try to fight through their own defences, battling against their own deployable shields and being shut down 1 at a time, 2 at a time from Alemo and INTZ. They finish off round 7, and what an attack onto Laundry that was.
Oh, the pistol whip from the Twitch. Alamar wanting that one to be clipped. That was beautiful. The 2K smackdown at the end. There was so many moving parts into that round that made it really easy for them to pull it off, right? Positionally, they were in great places. They were holding each other's angles so well that there was no opportunity for anyone from Liquid to sneak round without a frag or without at least a trade. And that was backed up by the use of the gadgets, of course. Specifically looking across at the Nomad, the air jabs that were shot out. Just beautiful, Tim. Just beautiful. It denied the rotations. Anytime we tried to see an adjustment from Liquid to bail out a man that was in a bit of a rough position, like Moringa when he was trapped with a shotty, obviously doesn't really have the range to go for the peek out. But if he could have peeked with someone else, if they could have fought together, maybe there was a chance. He could have pushed in and looked to try and shut down the player on site, giving Palu a way in. But oh no, you turn the corner, slapped in the face by an air jab, you're knocked onto your buttocks, and then both of them were picked off in quick succession. Just beautiful play. Really, really smart stuff there from INTZ. Brings back the game and leaves us at a 4-3 scoreline, Tim. It's looking hot.
Absolutely cracking attack. We saw a great view of exactly how INTZ set up, and VNX was pivotal in that. Being on the pillar there, just holding Moringa in freezer, not letting the man out. He was trying to bring some chicken back into the kitchen, Jack. He was trying to turn the heat up. He was trying to make things difficult with the shotty. Got himself one onto Vits, but unable to make any further impression on the round, and it was all down to VNX holding that angle. He took a couple of pot shots, he let Moringa know that he was there, and he let him know that that corridor was an absolute no-go. And to see a defender so close to a diffuser going down, he could hear that plant. There is absolutely no two ways about that, and there was just nothing he could do. He was absolutely useless in that situation, completely nullified by the Nomad, and that was really, really great attacking play from INTZ. Let's see if they can continue it here and level things up. Important round 1 for them.
Moringa spoke about how effective he can be on this angle into the prior round. We didn't really get to see too much of it. This time it seemed like Duds was going to test the waters. Dips his big toe in, he goes, oh, it's a bit cold for me, Tim. You know, the heater's not on. It's not got one of those solar covers that you put over the top of the water to harness the heat, to warm it up naturally. He doesn't fancy it. He runs away.
He'll be on TripAdvisor complaining about the temperature of that pool before you know it, Jackie.
All right, probably will. I mean, you know, here's the thing about pools, right? They're nice, but they can also be cold.
Sometimes it's exactly what you're looking for, though, isn't it? Different pools, different needs. You know, if you're in 40-degree heat, I think that you're going to appreciate a nice low temperature.
Yeah, I suppose it depends. You know, you're in Spain, you've booked a holiday there, you're thinking it's going to be a nice little, you know, warm climate for a bit. You get there, you go to dip in the pool, it's freezing, temperature's all right, but it's not warm enough. It's just not acceptable, Tim.
Holiday ruined. At that point, forget it. You might as well pack your bags and head home, Jackie.
Literally, back to the airport, back to Blighty. But in this round, we'll see if there is going to be any big blinding plays that will come out from the side of INTZ to bring the game back to a 4-4 split. Or if once again, they'll realise they've left their swimming trunks and have to bail out when they get close towards the pool. The pool this time around being the site that Liquid are defending with their lives. We've got about a minute left onto this one before the carnage kicks off. And finally, we're seeing the signs of aggression. Duds pushing in. Takes down the ADS on the close wall, gets off the reload as well, knowing that no one was going to swing onto him. They've got map control. They're ready and raring to go. Foot is on the pedal, Tim, and it all comes down to timing now.
5 versus 5 still, and an entry frag in either direction is going to be important here. Very similar attack coming in from INTZ as we saw last time. We've got them holding down pillars. VNX gets himself into the similar position he was last time when he held down and prevented Moringa from making any real impression into the round from Freezer there, but we can see the Toxic Babe canisters there coming out. 25 seconds left to go, and it certainly just halted the progress of INTZ for a couple of seconds here and there. 10 seconds at a time just burning away, and 15 seconds left to go. You've got to favour Team Liquid at this point. The nade raining in. Here comes a big nitro. Will it be successful? Yes, that is one coming in from PSK onto Drunks. Alemau, however, has got himself in a position to get the diffuser down. He's low health, but will be successful. Kills from raining in from BNX and Vits. 2 apiece for each of them. PSK, it's all down to him. He tries his best, but Vits, he finishes things off. 3 on the round for him. What an attack once again from INTZ. Team Liquid, it's time to find another site. It's time to move away, because there is nothing for you in the laundry apart from just an absolute nightmare of dirty washing that you cannot get clean, Jackie.
Oh, Tim, they have put them on a rinse cycle there, because they are going in and out like a revolving door towards this site and just dispatching them time and time again, blending Team Liquid into a fine, watery paste. 4-4, the game is tied up, and it is looking beautiful. We were looking at the clutch rounds. We were seeing the course of the game. It was leaving me thinking maybe this storyline is going to give us a bit more. It seems like now we're coming up towards where all the twists and turns are. These are the big, important chapters. When a game's tied like this, heading into the 9th round, it's going to get spicy. Also, just want to bring attention to both of those 6 picks as well, right? Sexy Cake. He's now made the change to go onto the Valkyrie. Especially with the site change they've gone for, moving over towards Dorms, there could be a lot of aggression here. We could see them going for something crazy. Specifically, I feel like the duo of Sexy Cake and Palu, you allow Palu on the Jaeger, once you get those ADSs down, to go for a bit of a wide swing, potentially see if he can net a couple of early frags here and there. That will deny what INTZ are doing. Because right now they're relying on the good grace of Team Liquid to let them play a 5v5 late round execute tip. If you now completely change your game plan and take the fight towards them early, INTZ might not be ready for it.
I agree. I think aggression would be well placed at this point for Team Liquid. They've lost themselves a couple of rounds on the bounce there. Just the momentum slipping out of their grasp, and they need to do something. They need to take charge of this situation before it gets away from them. They need to get out ahead of this one, and we can see Palu, he's getting himself right down onto that lower floor down the rear stage stairs. He's looking to be slippery and move underneath the map and just try and pop up here and there and make himself unpredictable and difficult to deal with. And right now, Drunks, he's holding a nice angle from the master balcony there through into Trophy. And if anybody peeks that, they could well find themselves losing a limb or two. We've got the Kali sniper rifle on board as well. We've seen great work once that closet wall is open, done by Kali's from that very balcony. It is a long line of sight all the way through to the dorms, and it can be a real difficult one to deal with for the defenders. Starts to really close down some of those rotations, but a minute into the round, Jackie, we have not had any of that early aggression that we maybe expected coming out of Team Liquid. Once again, INTZ, they're being able to get themselves set up. They're getting into the positions that they want. Team Liquid need to be careful that they don't allow this execute to come in the late round unhindered once again.
Obviously, they want to make an opportunity out of this, using those cams to go for something a little bit more spicy and get an opening pick on the board. But, as you said, timing-wise, they're missing the boat. He is going to pull away from the dock and leave them in a bit of a worrying position if they don't find something soon. It will be another raw 5 versus 5 scrap when push comes to shove towards the end of round 9 here. As right now, we're almost at the 60-second mark, the final 60, where things certainly start to take a bit of a wild turn. Alam out on the buck, he can tear up those floorboards and ceilings and get the opportunity for a tasty hurty-verty. Shots raining through, but it will be his teammate that gets the frag in the end. Duds coming out clean with 1. Trade from Sexy Cake, firing back with the MPX and slaughtering Duds in a manner that is quite X-rated, leaving us in a 4v4. Scratch that 4 versus 3 as Moringa scratches Duds out of play, leaving it now in a bit of a scary position. Sexy Cake, he's got the angle. He fires down. Depth-defying plays as he'll kill another man. It's getting really bad here for INTZ. It's going to have to be some show business. And Vitz does something drastic, jumping through with the SMG and picking up one. Overpowered, though, as the double kill comes in. Lickety-split and Team Liquid walk away with another round. They left it to the ringer. They waited again for a full 5-on-5 execution. But this time, they hit their shots. They play perfectly against the vertical play as well. That's the issue, Tim. You can open up those floorboards. You can give yourself a vertical angle, but they can shoot back.
I like what INTZ were trying to do there. It was something a little bit different. It's not really an attack that we've seen too much of so far. Getting control of that mid floor and then just moving in with the buck, opening up the floorboards left, right and centre underneath the defenders, just leaving them absolutely nowhere to go. But I just feel like he was down there a little bit alone and able to be picked off by Sexy Cake, and there were 2 kills came in vertically, and really it didn't feel like, as much as it was a good idea from INTZ to get the defenders moving, they didn't really prepare well enough to deal with those vertical angles themselves. As you say, they work in both directions and they were shut down from them, and always got to be careful of that. I think quicker movement may be necessary, not leaving yourself in those lines of sight, and just opening up the floorboards is enough to get the defenders moving. They're never then going to stand on top of those open areas and just take away their angles from them, take away the spots that they want to stand in, that they want to hold from, and just force them into uncomfortable areas before you push in horizontally. But a great effort from INTZ. I always like to see a little bit of innovation there, doing things a little bit differently. And right now, Team Liquid, they are going to be heading to kitchen and dining. Still not keen to go back to laundry, and that is absolutely no surprise.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Okay. INTZ. This is where it gets scary, really. Obviously, you need this round. You can't afford to have any mistakes, be it small or large at this point, because Liquid, they get one more round, Tim. It's guaranteed draw. And that really will knock you for 6. That'll take the momentum out. Because this game still looks winnable. It still looks like there actually is a fighting chance. Which obviously coming into it isn't really what we would have predicted for a game like this. It would have been all engines go in favour of Team Liquid. Especially how they've started to look this season. It feels like the momentum is in their favour. But INTZ played some solid siege. They've kept the game close. Just take it back to the fighting point. Get it back to a 5v5. And give yourself a chance to win it here and now on Oregon, before we even think about going into Consulate, as of course that is the second map in this one. If you're not familiar with the LATAM format, it is best of 2s. We do play for draws, so every round counts from this point forward here for INTZ. They need to get the game in a 5 versus 5.
Ooh, we get a little bit of an exchange there, and Palu lucky to escape with nothing more than a graze, essentially. Takes about 20 damage there. We'll just continue to fight from that angle on the Wamar. He will keep himself out of trouble for the time being and just hold down any sort of push that could be coming in from the double window. And we've got Ace using those Selma devices there just to open up some angles. Drunk's just trying to free up his team, trying to get a cheap opener onto somebody, but with a minute and a half yet to go, we don't really have any sort of progress into this top floor yet. Let's remember, of course, that we are attacking onto kitchen and dining. Team Liquid looking to hold on to that vertically and just essentially extending their defense into the top floor here. And right now they are wedged in and unable to be moved by the attack of INTZ. And try as they might knock as many times as they have, Team Liquid, they are not answering. Alemo, however, he finds a peek through a window and gets a kill onto Moringa now. PSK, he gets a nice little bob up above the deployable shield and shuts down Vitz, but Alemo gets himself a second on the round. 4 versus 3. But the problem for INTZ right now is the fact that Team Liquid are still entrenched on the top floor. They've got 2 men, PSK and Palu, unable to be moved right now. 35 seconds we are down to nearly, and if INTZ are going to have to do anything, it needs to be right now.
30 seconds left. The final fight. This is where you got to throw your punches, but don't pull them. Make sure they connect. Chin up there for PSK as he goes over the breach. Straight into the fray. Slain by VNX. Duds coming in with one of his own as well. It's all down to Nesk. Nesk can be a bit of a clutch machine. Is this a round that he can salvage? Cheeky headshot on the Duds. Through the vertical peak there, spots him. Peering over the hatch. And we'll hatch a plan to try and clutch this one. 1v3. It's going to be hard. It by no means will be an easy scenario for him. Spotted out as well as the drone cut. in. The Twitch trying to make it a bit of a shocker for him as he'll spot him out, do a bit of damage, sprints his way around, peering angle to angle, 20 seconds left. If he's going for it, he's got to kick in the nitro and charge his way into the site soon. A brilliant headshot is found. He's doing the unthinkable, but he doesn't really have the time for it. There's only 10 seconds remaining, and the vertical angle will favor the Nomad as VNX throws the clip in the AK and slays through the floorboards, hitting him on the DECK, Tim.
What a long-range headshot from Nesk. It deserved more, really, but got absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. As INTZ take round 10 and level things up, who'd have thought that we'd be going to all 12 to begin with on Oregon? Jackie, INTZ are fighting hard here, and right now, I wouldn't put my money against them. I know we had that poll in the Twitch chat, and there was a lot of people favouring Team Liquid, as you would expect. But I said at the time, I offered a word of caution. I said that INTZ were certainly better than an 8% team, I think is what I said, Jackie, in terms of that vote, and I think that's exactly what we are seeing right now. They are fighting long and hard, and they are sending a message that they are here to stay on Oregon now. A lot of work for them to do. They're heading back down to the laundry. We've seen them successful down there twice already. Able to get in there, able to play for objectives, get diffusers down and activated on the ground, force Team Liquid onto the back foot. The last two attacks that we've seen into laundry have all been from the sort of mid-left of your screen, where we see Nesk and Moringa now. So we call that area pillars and bunker just towards the top of your screen. It's all come through the control of that area, getting themselves into meeting that we're looking at now, opening up the hatch that Palu has just reinforced, applying pressure vertically down into sight, and then moving in and taking control of the whole of the north side of that area before getting the diffuser down on the ground. Will they be able to rinse and repeat, or will they find themselves on the ringer, Jackie, and just held to account from Team Liquid, who should by now, after losing twice to the same attack, have got this figured out?
You'd hope so. You'd hope so. But it seems like everyone is starting to figure out, Tim, that this game is a banger. A bit of a slobber knocker is forming. We had a tweet coming in from Vanny, who says, I didn't expect this match to be so tight, but I am loving it. Little horse emoji there, clearly representing the Team Liquid symbol, the big mighty horse. But they need to use those hooves, Tim. They got to start kicking back against INTZ, or this game could slip away from them. It's tied 5-5. This is the dream scenario to be in. If you get around here, you have a guaranteed draw against Liquid. You won't want just the draw, though. They want to go for blood, Tim. They need to get a win off them. That would be pivotal for INTZ, and it could also do some damage to Team Liquid's season. If they suffer a loss here tonight in one of the maps versus INTZ, that could really come back to bite them the longer BR6 goes on this stage.
Oh, it could be defining. There's absolutely no two ways. And coming into Consulate, I've commented a couple of times that I'm concerned for INTZ on there. They've taken the pick, but they've already lost once on Consulate this season. Team Liquid, we know, are very capable on that map. But if INTZ can come in and steal this away from Team Liquid, especially after the start, rather than the horse that we see on the logo of Team Liquid, they could be left feeling like they've been absolutely run over by a stampede, Jackie, as they just are battered and bruised coming out of Oregon with INTZ fighting back the way they are now. We can see this time around Team Liquid are holding a high line up towards pillars, up towards bunker. They are not going to let this go without a fight this time around. Nesk, he's going to take one, he's going to dip away, he's going to fire the reinforcement up, and that's going to lock bunker down and prevent any easy access, at least for INTZ. Now, they've only lost the Ash, they do still have the Ace of Drunks, so they can open that wall up with a Selma device, but with 1 minute left to go, INTZ, they need to speed things up and get moving here. They haven't made the same sort of progress that we've seen from them previously in their two successful attacks. Now, Twitch is in there doing work. He's going to take out one of the Maestro cameras, but there is still one left that will be feeding information into Team Liquid. 45 seconds left on the clock. INTZ need to start finding some frags.
Time is of the essence. And that time is ticking away. A ticking time bomb is deployed, though, from Moringa as he dashes out that smoke canister. The sanguine arsenic that will be getting into the lungs of INTZ and slowing them down massively. And they cannot afford to waste any time here. But Moringa's still got two of them in reserve. None of his utility has been baited out into the round. But he's going to get baited and shut down. A mass train of frags coming out. Nesk, from his position, is pivotal, slaying his way through on the Jaeger with a clean 2K, running and gunning as he dispatches both of them and picks up another round for Team Liquid. They left it late. They went for the execution. Effectively, again, a 5 versus 4. INTZ having the disadvantage and it not going the way it has gone so many times before. They had confidence taking them towards Laundry, Tim, but this time it finally is won by Team Liquid. And that is a pivotal round to win. 6-5, a guaranteed draw. The best INTZ can hope for is to contest this one as a draw.
The positioning from Team Liquid was key there. Having the man hold a high line up inside of Laundry, as we saw, just prevented that late push that we've seen from INTZ the last couple of times where they tried to get themselves into a position to hold down the plant. They are confident holding Moringa back in freezer from the pillars position that we saw VNX do so well previously. But whilst there is still another defender opposite Moringa's position in Laundry, it makes that very difficult to do because it doesn't matter that Moringa can't get out of freezer, because your second man is going to hold the opposite angle and prevent anybody gaining access to the plant spot that they were looking for just inside of the double door. And that's exactly what we see. Kills raining in. PSK, Palu, Nesk all getting in on that final flurry, all getting in on that grand action to finish things off in round number 11. That is going to give Team Liquid one singular opportunity to close this out and get the win that their fans will so surely feel like should have been a certainty coming into this matchup. But INTZ, they have once again shown that they can play with the big boys. They can push them all the way. Can INTZ grab something out of this? Can they get themselves a draw? And for me, what an exciting finish that will be, with lots of comments to be made about draws, Jackie, but in a best of 2, coming into map 2 on a draw between Team Liquid and INTZ, that to me feels lip-smacking and mouth-watering as we come in with the potential for INTZ to still take away the majority of points from this matchup.
Oh, man. You gotta just let it, if anything, fire you up and keep your confidence at an all-time high, because it's a great result. And I think INTZ, they're the type of side that would know that and realise that they have made a major feat here if they get a draw off the back of this one. Then going into Consulate, it's a scary map to take Liquid too, but you've taken them there, so prove a point. Show them why that map is a big exclamation mark, and exclaim into this round why you're going to go there. So they've still got about 2 minutes left on this one. It is a 5 versus 5. No casualties yet. You've got time. You've got firepower. And you need this round. It's all been building up to this point. Conceding the prior one, you can forget about it now, as your only outcome is to guarantee yourself a draw. Will the defensive hold of Team Liquid live up to the mark once again? Trying to shut down those Selma devices. Looked like one of the charges went off before it was spotted, so only a small window opened up. This does provide a drone hole, though. He'll get that in for a split second to get a bit of reconnaissance done, but they find more than just information. They find a frag, Alamal, shooting up through the floorboards, and he will board up one man. PSK put into a pine box and shipped off to the graveyard, leaving us in a 5 versus 4 here with 1 minute and 10 seconds left, Tim. INTZ could do this.
Vertical play more successful this time around for INTZ. Lemau getting a great opener onto PSK there, and that is the mute off the board and a shotgun with it. So that will start to free up a little bit of movement for them. Nesk, it looks like, has been forced out of Attic as well. So far, so good for INTZ. They need to now start thinking about 2 things. 1 is getting another frag or 2, and 2 is getting themselves into a planting position. We can see Team Liquid at the minute reasonably settled and happy to hold these long angles. Out goes another one of those toxic babe canisters, and that is going to slow the push for the time being into Games Room. Now, really could do with finding a peek into the back of sight at the minute. They're trying to use that long angle through the attic for the time being, and Vitz, he's going to take some big damage on the Kali from a run out, but will survive to keep fighting. Not killed, and manages to just dip himself out of sight. And now we're going to have a flurry of action in these last 10 seconds as we can see shots begin to get exchanged. Sexy Cake with a big opener for Team Liquid on the Nitro. Gets a second for himself. Palu punctuating that one. 2 kills come in for INTZ. 2 versus 2 diffuser going down. This is all down to the cover being held by Duds right now, but he is shut down, as is VNX, and that's going to be the round to Team Liquid, and that was close to finish things off, but ultimately that diffuser could not be activated, and Team Liquid, they were alive to the danger. Duds, he'd taken too much damage in the early round and couldn't hold them off, couldn't hold them away from his man.
Oh, Tim. I think the only thing that's rough for me there off the back of that last round is INTZ. They had this resurgence really in the game where they stopped giving so much respect and so much firepower back to Team Liquid, where when they'd get a frag, they'd react off the back of it. INTZ those last 2 rounds, once again, it looked like they were a little bit